What we'll be doing just to echo what was said before, if you guys can hang on to your questions until the end, especially now they're having mic issues, that will just be. Ooh, are you gonna take yours off or should?
She said all of them did before.
Okay,
I think it's fine.
all right, I feel okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think she just meant when each person was talking.
Okay.
Okay, so as you're saying, just leave your questions until the end when we switch our microphone usage. But hello, everybody. How are we doing today? Good, thumbs up, fantastic. Alrighty, so we are so excited to have you on our Zoom call today. We are first-year physical therapy students from the George Washington University. My name is Caroline Wolfson.
I'm Caroline Rooney.
I'm Tesia Sikorsky.
And I'm Devni Putra.
And we are here to talk to you today about sitting. Yes, sitting, it's very exciting. So quick poll of the room just to see where people land. How many hours a day do you think you spend sitting? And you can drop those answers in the chat. Four to five. All right, are you very busy? Anyone else have any guesses?
8.
8 hours. All right, we're kind of getting up there. I see another 8. All right, sounds good. Too much. Yes, that's very real. 6 hours. Okay, well, it might surprise you to know, based on these guesses, that the average American spends about 15 hours a day sitting. So that is more than half of your day. And you don't need us to tell you that getting up and moving around is important. And you may already incorporate some purposeful movement or exercise into your daily routine. Now I'm going to share my screen. It says that the host has disabled participant screen sharing. Is there a way you could change our settings so we can
Yep, I can
share
do
our
that.
screen?
Realized you had a thing to share. Hold on. There you go. Are you sharing from the group 6 or are you sharing from a different one? There you go, you can see it now.
All righty. So we would love to share with you some ways that you can break up the times that you may spend reading, watching TV, or spending time on the computer. Today, we're going to talk about why taking breaks from resting is important, learn how often you should be taking those breaks, and of course, we're going to get up and practice. So if you read the announcement that Nadia so graciously sent out, you may have heard that sitting is the new smoking. Now, of course, that sounds pretty alarming. However, prolonged periods of sitting are actually associated with many health risks. It can increase the risks of certain diseases, but it affects not just your physical health, but also your mental health. It can lower your mood and decrease your overall energy levels. And you also might start to see increased stiffness or soreness in your muscles and joints. Also, it is good for your skin. Getting up and moving around is really, really great for your skin because actually prolonged sedentary time can cause skin irritation and even lead to pressure injuries on your skin. So now that we've covered the scary stuff, let's talk about the benefits. Why should we be taking breaks? Why is it so important? Well, in the same way that you need to take breaks when you're engaging in movement in order to rest, you need to take breaks from your rest in order to move. Taking breaks from sitting can decrease your risk of developing many different diseases, as well as help you feel more energized. Now, has anyone here ever had a day, show of hands, where you sat on the couch all day, you just like hung out all day, and even at the end of the day, you still felt really tired? Anyone? Anyone? Yeah, I see people putting their hands up, definitely. So that's why it's important to be getting up and moving, because actually just laying around can still leave you feeling really tired and drained. And finally, it's also important to give your eyes a break as well. Your eyes have lots of little muscles in them. And it's important to take some time to look away from your phone or even a book that you might be reading. And finally, as if you didn't need enough reasons, moving can make you smarter. Moving actually increases blood flow to the brain, which can help you process information better. So hopefully we've sold you on the why, and now let's talk about the what. We are going to dive in and learn a few exercises. However, a couple things to make sure that you have. So first of all, we want to make sure that you have a space where you can move comfortably. Hopefully you're not going to be knocking anything over. We hope you have a nice sturdy chair to sit in that does not have wheels on it. So no wheels, no go. Make sure you have a sturdy chair with 4 legs that you can leave on, that you can have on the floor. We hope you're wearing comfortable clothing. We really, really, really recommend that you put some shoes on for this. We want stable shoes, no bare feet, no, especially no like slippery socks. Well, bare feet is second best, but ideally you have sturdy shoes on. Maybe grab some water. And then the most important thing that we want to emphasize is safety. We really want to make sure you're being careful, you're being safe. And we really want to empower you guys to make sure that you listen to your bodies and trust that your body will tell you what's best for you. If something is too hard, slow down, sit down. But also the same thing, if something feels pretty easy and you feel pretty comfortable, you might want to try, might try the exercise standing up. And with all that, I'm going to hand it over to Caro.
Thank you, Caroline, for that great introduction. So if you have been to any of the other PT shorts, we're going to have a pretty similar format. We're going to introduce some exercises we're really excited to share with you. And then if you have any questions, feel free to write it in the chat or jot them down and we can touch on them at the end. And then one last thing before we get started, if you have any pain or discomfort or unusual like tingling sensations or burning, do not perform the exercise. Just stop right there. It might not be appropriate for you at this time. So we want to make sure you're listening to your body and we don't do anything that puts you in harm's way. So with all that being said, we'll get started. We're going to start at the top of the body and sort of work our way down. If you are anything like me, the longer you sit, the worse your posture gets. So if I'm on my laptop working or reading a book or watching TV, I start to really slouch and my shoulders hunch forward and my head starts to drop. So I want to share some exercises that can strengthen the muscles that help us stay nice and tall with a healthy upright posture. So this first one is chin tucks. And essentially what we're going to be doing is bringing your chin to your chest, and Devni is going to show us what not to do. We are not looking down. So we want to keep our eyes nice and forward. And basically you're moving your head backwards. So let's see what not to do again, Devni. We are not looking down, but we're going to keep our eyes forward and you're moving your whole head backwards. And yes, what Devni is doing right now is perfect. You can add a little extra pressure on your chin to encourage that motion because it's a little bit of an awkward motion. You can do these standing like Devni is. And if you are standing, make sure you have like a sturdy chair or a countertop or something stable nearby. If you lose your balance, you can hold on to it. Or Tesia here is sitting. You can do this sitting. Make sure you're nice up and tall and upright. And now that I said all of that, we're going to go ahead and perform about 5 of these together. And you can hold it for anywhere from 1 to 3 seconds. The longer you hold it, the harder it will be. So on a day where you want a little more of a challenge, go ahead and hold it for that longer period of time. But I'll let Tess and Devni take us through 5 before we move on to the next exercise. Great. So if at home, again, if you had any pain or discomfort, do not perform that exercise. If you have any questions that come up, we will get to those at the end, or you can throw them in the chat. So for our next exercise, it is scapular retractions. So your scapula or your shoulder blade are those bones in the back of your in your upper back. So what we're doing here is working the muscles that help pull back those scapulas and again help with that nice upright posture. They keep your shoulders nice and rounded back. I know my mom at the dinner table would always say I'm slouching and grab my shoulders and pull them back. So we want to work on those muscles that are nice and strong and keep us have a nice tall posture. So for these, you can, again, similar to the chin tucks, be standing or seated. If you're seated, make sure your back is not against the back of the chair so that you have some room to move. But what you're gonna do is put your arms out in front of you with your palms up. And as you move your arms outward, think about squeezing your shoulder blades together. So we can see with Devni here as she moves, see how her shirt is moving in the middle here. Those shoulder blades are moving together as she pinches her shoulder blades. So that is the motion we are looking for. And similar to the chin tucks, you can hold this from anywhere to 1 to 3 seconds. The longer you hold it, the more challenging it's going to be. So that being said, Tess and Devni are going to take us through 5 so you can follow along with us at home. Awesome. So again, you should feel those muscles in the center, upper center of your back working. And any pain or discomfort, just stop. And then that is all I have. I will hand it over to Devni.
Okay, so now we're gonna move on to your trunk. And how we're gonna do these are, our first ones are trunk rotations. If you're sitting, those muscles will start to feel tight. So this will just allow for some more motion in that region. So if you're standing, we do encourage you to stand for both of these exercises if you're feeling up for it. So Caro, who is standing, is going to keep her feet planted on the ground, and she's going to place her hands out in front of her and rotate her body side to side without moving her feet. And for Tess, who is sitting, she's going to cross her arms over her chest and again rotate side to side, just moving her trunk. And we're going to do 3 on each side, just so you can get some stretch in that region. So we're going to lead us through that, 3 on each side.
I'm seeing everybody doing it in the chat. You guys look great, or on the other screen. Good.
Awesome, looks great. So the next one we're going to do are going to allow for more blood flow and reduce stiffness in your hip muscles. Again, when you're sitting, your hip muscles do get tight. So this allows for some motion and blood flow in that region. So if you're standing, again, we do encourage you to stand. We're going to do hip circles. So Caro's going to keep her feet planted on the ground, shoulder width apart, and she's just going to place her hands on her hips and move her hips like she's moving in a hula hoop. And she's just going to do that motion slowly. And again, make sure you have a stable surface nearby. And if you're seated today, Tess will show you how to do seated internal and external rotations, where you lift up one leg and your knee is moving outwards and then inwards. Caro is going to do 3 hip circles going in one direction, and then 3 hip circles going the opposite direction. And Tess is going to do 3 internal, external rotations on her right leg and then on her left leg. So they're going to guide us through those now. Everyone at home is doing a great job.
We can't see her feet and the bottom of her legs.
Looks good. Okay, so those are our hip and trunk exercises. And now Tess is going to show us our leg exercises today.
All right, everyone. So as Caro said at the beginning, we're moving down our body. So our last focus here is going to be some lower body moves that we can work on.
Please
So I know
fix your
sometimes I'm
camera
sitting
so it
too long,
shows
my
the
legs fall
legs.
asleep, or I just end up feeling really, really stiff. So our first exercise that Devni's going to show us is called seated knee extensions, where you're just going to try and kick your foot out towards the ceiling, keeping the back of your thigh on the chair, bringing those toes up as far as you can go till your knee straightens out. And while you're doing that, you really want to think about squeezing the muscle on the top of your thigh. And then if you decide to do the standing exercise, which Caro is going to show us, you're just going to bring the heel of your foot up towards your bottom, like that. Things to remember while you're standing, try and hold on to something. Caro's holding on to the chair, just so you make sure you have your balance. And now we'll have them each do 3 reps on each side. So if you can go ahead and follow along with them, whichever one you choose to do. Again, these are just really great to keep your blood flowing, get those muscles moving. And if you're like me, if your legs fall asleep sometimes, it's also a good thing too. All right, and for our last exercise, we're going to be doing some simple marches. This one's also good for getting your heart rate up a little bit, helping to wake you up. Also good for getting the blood moving down the legs again. So if you're sitting, just, relax in your chair, and you're just going to try and bring those knees up to the ceiling. And you can go ahead and switch off on legs, so right and then left. And similar motion for if you're standing, you're just going to hold on to the chair or the wall or whatever is around you. You're just going to go ahead and bring those knees up kind of to about your hip level height. You can see Caro's only bringing it up to here. You don't want to bring it up too high. Again, this also is just good to get that blood moving, get you up and going, So we'll have them do 3 marches on each side, so 6 in total. And again, if you're doing this on your own, yeah, you can go ahead and do whatever pace you feel comfortable with, but we're just trying to make sure we're showing you how to properly do it. Okay, so we've shown you all of our exercises, and now you guys might be wondering, okay, well, how long do we do this for? How often? Our recommendation is about every 30 minutes if you can. Sometimes it's hard to remember to get up and do something every 30 minutes. So if that can be an issue, maybe something like setting a timer for yourself on a cell phone or a stopwatch, or if that's not something that really works for you, you can make like little goals. So if you're reading a book, something like, oh, every 10 pages, I'm going to get up and I'm going to do some of the exercises that I learned today. Or if you're watching TV and there's a commercial break that comes on, go ahead, stand up, do some of the exercises that we taught you. And then you're going to do each exercise for 30 seconds on each side, if there's a left and a right component to it. But our main thing here is we want you all to listen to your body. So if you're sitting down watching TV for too long and you're not really feeling stiff in your trunk, but your legs are more tired, you can go ahead and focus on your legs more than your trunk. This really is up to you guys. We'd love to see everyone doing all of them all the time, but we know sometimes lower body is more stiff than the upper body. So you go ahead and listen to what your body's telling you at that point in time. So now we're going to hand it off back to Caroline. She's going to wrap things up for us.
Okay, friends, so it's time to put you on the spot. It is now quiz time. So because we're having these mic issues, I want to make sure that you put your answers in the chat, and I will keep an eye on the chat. Whoever answers the question first does not get a prize, but you get our undying admiration. So very impressive. So let's start with, what is a mental health benefit of including exercises daily? A, increased dopamine, increased depression, B, increased mood, C, make you feel more tired. What do we think? What do we think? Put those answers in the chat. Put those answers in the chat. B, I see B for increased mood from Sim Weiss. B, Nadia. Yes, B. Oh, you are crushing it already. The answer is indeed B, increased mood. Okay, so next question. How long should you complete each exercise for? Tesia just talked about it. 5 minutes, 10 seconds, or 30 seconds? Answer in the chat. Answer in the chat. C, once again, coming in hot. C from Sim. All right. C is the correct answer. Their answer is 30 seconds. And last question. What is most important to consider before exercising? A, wearing unstable shoes, B, exercising on an empty stomach, or C, safety. C for safety. And big three, Sim coming in again. The answer is C, safety. Nicely done, folks. Nicely done. So that brings us to our closing for you today. We just want to summarize really quick what we've talked about. We've talked about the importance of breaking up sedentary activity with quick exercises, why it's important, all the health benefits. We actually learned some exercises. So from head to toe, from your neck to your trunk, to your hips, to your legs, you've learned a couple different things. And once again, we're bringing it back to our most important lesson, which is listen to your body. The person who knows what's best for you is you. Okay. So when you're doing these exercises, if you need to slow it down, if you need to speed it up, make sure that you are honoring that. So folks, thank you so much for spending this time with us. We hope you learned something new and at least you got moving around a little bit. If you have any questions, you can feel free to email us. These are our email addresses in case you'd like to get in touch with us. We also should have a PDF that was sent out to you folks, so you actually have the list of exercises. So I'm going to open it up for questions, but before you start shouting out your questions, we need to switch our microphones, so just give us one quick second. It's time for questions if you have any. We're going to stop our share here. I'm going to mute us here, and I will. Okay, folks, so if you have any questions, you can shout it out here, or you can type it into the chat, and we will do our best to answer them.
Would you mind demonstrating the, I believe it was the hip one, because the chair was a bit far forward. So
One, yes, because we had a little bit of issue with that. Yes, so
yeah, just the seated. If you could re-demonstrate that, that'd be great.
yes, we know we were having some camera
So you're gonna bring,
issues.
yeah, so you're just gonna turn your knee out, and then you're gonna bring them in.
I'm just getting your microphone closer.
Okay. So just like that. Just to allow for some increased blood flow, those hip muscles. You do on both sides.
That's great. Thank you very much. Does anyone else have any questions about the presentation? That covered the one comment we had.
Yes, are you recommending doing these brief exercises every 30 minutes? Doing some of them? Yeah, what's the frequent, well, you did say getting up and moving around every 30 minutes, but as far as the exercises are concerned, doing them every 30 minutes or 3 times a day?
Yes. So if you are, sitting for a long period of time, we really want to see you try and get up every 30 minutes. Of course, if you're just, moving around all day, like you don't have to do these exercises. This is more for like if you're sitting down watching TV for extended periods of time, something like that, then every 30 minutes you should get up and move around if you can. And any of the exercises that we taught you are good. Like we said in the presentation, any of the ones that might feel better for in that moment to you, go ahead and do. So if your legs are feeling more stiff than your neck, go ahead and focus more on the leg exercises.
Got it. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a question.
Yes.
I noticed the exercises were being done very slowly. Was that for training purposes, or is that really the pace? I can't imagine that they do much for blood pressure. And I also want to comment, thank you for wearing masks, because I'm seeing them less and less out there in the world.
Well, you are welcome for that. So we would say that, does anyone have thoughts on that? So we would say it depends. We would say it depends. So yes, ultimately it is for training purposes. We're thinking of these exercises less as oh, I'm getting my heart rate up, I am going, I am pushing myself. These are more for, like Tess was saying, if you've been sitting for a really long time, if you've just been laying on the couch all day. So these are just kind of to get you up and moving. They're less likely to lower your blood pressure and more likely to get just some blood flow to your extremities, to your limbs, to your joints. So we would say it depends on what works for you. Definitely, we were showing them very slow so people could see it. However, if there's a day where you're moving really slow, then that's okay if you do the paces at that pace. Once again, listening to your body and knowing what's going to work for you is the best advice we can give you. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, any other thoughts? Any other questions? All right,
I want to
see.
thank you very much. That was a really well laid out presentation. I definitely think that was easy to follow and easy to repeat with the recording and the handout. So it was a very well designed and useful presentation. Does anyone else have any last thoughts or questions before we move on?